our next speaker is speaking also about hapū and iwi leadership. She is has done some incredible things in her young years, and I say young because anyone who's I don't know, still walking our earth, no matter if they're 80, 90, 100, is still young in the generations of this mahi. Tash, you are serve on the national Māori movements, including the Office of The Kiingitanga, Te Pāti Māori, the National Iwi Chairs Forum of Freshwater Rights and Interests for Māori. And you've also attended the UN Commission for the Status of Women, also committed to unlocking economic opportunities in horticulture, aquaculture for Māori throughout the iwi, and it goes on. And you smile. It's just amazing that you have the ability to carry all of this mahi. The time is yours now, I te tuahine, and talking about the kaupapa that you carry, which is digital muskets. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe te tuakana. I honore tia te pariariki o tātou te whirowhiro te tuawhitu, te makauariki, ngā mihi aroha ki a koe. O tira, tēnā rā tātou e ngā māreikura te motu o te ao, tēnā tātou katoa. Ko whakaarara te maunga, ko ngā moko, ko Wāhine pua ngā moana, ko ngā tirua mahue, ko ngā te kauwau, ko ngā te kura ngā hapū, ko Ngāpuhi te iwi, no Whaingaroa ahau, ko Tasha Hohaia tōku ingoa, tēnā koutou katoa. I acknowledge Makauariki of the Kiingitanga, patron of Te Rōpū Māori Wāhine, tōko i te ora, along with our global sisters of the Pacific and Peru, he mihi ana. I have bared witness of my own eyes, of my heart, and understanding the power of a movement that carries a spirit of kotahitanga, unity, and purpose. I come from Whaingaroa, the north, where we and our nation carry a collective responsibility as guardians of two very sacred documents in this land, he whakaputanga and te tiriti. 189 years later, they form the foundation of our constitution here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and while our very foundations are currently shaken, as the fourth Waitangi Tribunal claim is heard under urgency just this year, legislation that has somewhat protected our rights and interests are stripped, the ground does feel unsteady. But as sea people, we were born for this, and as women, sacred and protected in nature, we were primed for moments like this. We, the North, are widely known for hungihika and widely known as people unafraid of a battle. What is not as widely known is the influence of Wāhine Māori, particularly the senior wife of hungihika, Tirika Tuku, when considering the protection of our whānau and our future. While her eyesight in the natural was impaired, she was known as a matakite, or someone who had foresight and carried spiritual powers to call in the future that was needed at that time. She was one of Hungi's chief advisors, and she traveled with him to every battle. This is a legacy that continues. As I look across the different sectors, for us, it is the women who are strategizing, who are weaving together, sometimes very unlikely people, but who are sorting the stock of what we have, who we have, what should be planted, and what we will need to move into our futures. Tirika Tuku in one battle, while a tohunga was in the middle of a ceremony, all assembled for battle, she reminded them to fight with valor, and that if they were defeated, they would, if not killed, be slaves for life. I want to bring the gravity of not securing the economy and an ecosystem of trade that we envisaged in He Whakaputanga. The price of us not protecting our own traditional knowledge and implementing systems is expensive. It is the price of our future generations being slaves to another system. There is an invisible time, though, at this moment in time, like a portal of opportunity for us as women to usher in and protect what we had envisaged, that economy, those rights, our systems, our way of life, based on our traditional knowledge that was guaranteed in he whakaputanga, and as my friend Kitty mentioned, the tino rangatiratanga noted in Te Tiriti. In this new age where data is viewed as the new oil, where we know the true value is in our own systems, our mātauranga, and that wider ecosystem, there is an invisible line of traditional knowledge weaved into every plan, every piece of art, every karakia, every song, and every way of treating the life that we find ourselves surrounded by, from the sea to the fiber of the flax that our weavers are weaving now. There is a way to ensure for decision-making to be made by our people, better distribution and allocation of wealth, and a common sense practice for us, but a very tapu process of tono, of ensuring consent so that the right people are consulted on making those decisions. There is an offer of one way or one solution for your people and mine that I'm going to share with you today. And this includes some of the work that I also want to acknowledge a group have been working on, who are known as He Puna o Wairua Onorua. And so I'll just bring up the screen, but this is a rōpū who were gathered to consider what are some of these solutions that can be activated and can protect the interests of hapū and iwi, regardless of legislative change, regardless of government states, and regardless of the ongoing battle to protect our rights under Te Tiriti o Waitangi. Some of the work includes branding, labeling, database protection, declarations or terms of engagement, and creative leases or licenses. But what I want to share with you is one of the things that our hapū and iwi are considering, and how the merging of a declaration, which is really a one-party kōrero or statement to the world, and how they will operate, how they will define themselves, very much similar to he whakaputanga, alongside contract terms, which is a legal soft law tool that can work with the willing, because actually we find ourselves in a day and age where many of our people across Aotearoa and the world want to do the right thing and are willing to participate in a process that honours traditional knowledge, that honours the Indigenous people of the land. And that, combined with the power of a register, which enables a documenting of this traditional knowledge, that is the part where all of those lines align for the opportunity for us to protect our traditional knowledge into the future. It is not the only way, but it is one way that is accessible to our hapū and our iwi to consider in a time like now. I want to mihi and acknowledge Kiri Tuku, who has done extensive work in this area, including the provision of public world intellectual property toolkits. And in this comment section, there will be a link shared around some of the toolkits that are already publicly accessible and available for all our hapū and iwi. There is a toolkit that steps through how you can document your traditional knowledge in a way that can be recognised, as well as a training program which is publicly accessible for anyone to register for. One way that we are considering to apply this is considering the differences of on-prem solutions and cloud storage, which is currently widely debated, as there is a great deal of security in having an onshore data centre coming to our shores in Aotearoa, New Zealand. In general, documentation through databases and registers may serve as a defensive tool to protect traditional knowledge against unapproved use. It serves as a means to conserve traditional knowledge for the benefit of our own whānau, hapū and iwi, or the Indigenous people of your whenua, wherever you are zooming in from today. It serves as a tool for demonstrating the existence of rights over traditional knowledge, a tool for recording and supporting compliance, access, and benefit sharing agreements, as well as a repository for at a very local level for our whānau, hapū, and iwi, to ensure that the right people have access to that traditional knowledge, but giving the control and the power to share access to that back into the hands of our own. Registering something in a registry puts it on the record and puts the public on notice, per se, that the registrant asserts a claim. So for our hapū or sub-tribe, this could be done at a local scale by ensuring that sacred documents and evidence are registered to a particular family, which would ensure that any requests for access to that are not only revitalised, but amongst the right and appropriate people, but guarded against it being in the wrong hands. The other thing that it does is ensure that we as Māori or Indigenous people are in control of any benefit sharing. So often we see that our traditional knowledge is in the wrong hands and that others are benefiting commercially, when actually this was something that was guarded against in he whakaputanga. Our people had the foresight to ensure that our economy and our level of trade was protected. This allows for an income stream on our terms and puts power back into the group. While governance of this, as with many of our Māori rōpū, is not straightforward, as we need to allow for devolved decision-making as appropriate, we have implemented the tapu process of tono, or ensuring we seek permission at the appropriate points. As commonly known, a license is a contract between a property owner and another party, and there are examples that can be shared. Yes, we are in a time where we need to weave our people together delicately and intricately. Yes, we need to revitalise and replenish our resources, whether that be kai, whether that be the very fibres that we are weaving. But we all have something very critical to learn from Te Kātuku, in the sense that we need to make no mistake about the need to fight, and that now is a time where we need to consider all our people, all our skills, whether that be in the United Nations, as Tāsila and Mililani Trask have done for us, whether that be in gathering our people, as Mako Ariki has done and continues to do, whether that be in the technical skill that outlined by people like Kirituki and Kirireihana, and the many, and the atua frameworks and the many amazing kōrero that we've heard from today. We need to protect our interests. And as Dr. Hope and Te Rōpū Wāhine Māori Toko i Tōroa have done recently to ensure our rights and interests are protected regarding our mukapuna oranga tamariki, Ngāti Pukiao, the Hokianga, Ngāti Kahu, Ngāti Rehia, just acknowledging them for the fight that they have currently been in. So whether it is to fight for the intellectual property in our traditional knowledge and whatever that might be where you are. I also want to acknowledge that and congratulate actually our Pacific sisters here who have managed to consider what that might look like for kava, ensuring that not anybody can go and make kava and sell it, that actually there is a tapu process, there are ways to do that, and there are ways to ensure that the benefit sharing goes back to the appropriate people. That is indeed something that we should be moving towards, protecting the traditional knowledge and intellectual property of our people. It is a serious issue, and we do need to fight for that. We need to fight for our future economy and way of life. We need to fight with valour for the future of that our tupuna envisaged. And so I mihi to our speakers and to our whānau online, and I know that our speaker who's yet to share, Hana Rāwhiti Maipi, is one of the our powerful and fighting voices too, just in a different sphere. So yes, I think I heard mentioned the tension and weaving, and it's not by hinerangi actually, the tension and weaving is not necessarily a bad thing, and that actually sometimes we need the tension. And I look forward to seeing the way in which our wahine Māori and the wahine across the Pacific will rise and lead in a time like now, when there is indeed tension, not just in the need for protecting our traditional knowledge and intellectual property, but actually our future economy and way of life. This is serious business, and I'm here mihi to you all today for making the time to discuss. Tēnā rā tātou katoa.
Oh, I te kai hāpai, kai hāpai I te tika, I te pono, I ngā utauta hangarau, e whakarauora ana nei e tātou, e tiaki ana I te mātauranga, me ngā ohanga, tēnā rā koe. We thank you, Tash. We thank you as an upholder of appropriateness, of truthfulness, upholder of the way that we can use tools, digital tools that and traditional knowledge to help revitalise and protect these things and our connection to them. E mihi ana ki a koe, ki a koutou rā, tēnā rā koe. Ngā mata maha o ēnei kaupapa o ngā wahine take te moana nui ākiwa, the many faces, the many aspects of the divine inspiration that comes through us as women, Indigenous women of the Pacific. Tēnei te mihi ki a tātou katoa.